Today we're going to be making laundry soap with a ground up Zote bar and washing soda. Our required tools include a 4-quart saucepan, a whisk, potato masher, 400 grams of Zote soap, half-cup measuring cup, washing soda, not to be confused with washing or baking soda, a shredder, a scale which does grams, and preferably a gallon jug, and wax paper. To begin, we're going to lay out roughly 1.5 feet of wax paper, and then we're going to get a 6 to 8 inch sheet, and we're going to use this one on the scale. I didn't remember the Ziplocs. We need Ziplocs. There we are, a can full of Ziplocs. Each bar will make roughly 5 gallons of soap. And we're going to divide this into 5 bags. Then we'll put a half cup of washing soda with the ground up soap per bag. We will boil up some water, add the soap, mix it every 5 minutes, and then let it cure overnight. It will solidify, jellify, and then we will mush it with the potato masher. From there, it will go into the blender. We will blend it for 1 minute, no more, because it'll put way too much air in. And then from the blender, it will go back to the jug. As a side note, when you get your knuckles, when you're grinding on here, shred, you get down a little bit. It's not worth grinding off the skin of your hands because you'll end up chopping up your knuckles. I'm going to shred this entire block, and yes, you can buy it pre-shredded. We save 10-15 cents buying the block, but every little bit helps. From here, we want to get as much of this soap off of the shredder as possible, because we want to use up all 400 grams, and we're going to divvy this out, oddly, to roughly around 78.5 grams per Ziploc. So try to get as much as you can. You want to get like towards 80, but I've never really been able to get an actual 80 grams out of it. 5 bags at 78.5. Now we must turn on the scale. Make sure we're in grams. And then we're going to reset the scale back to 0. When you put the paper on, when you put a bowl on, you want to set it back to 0 so you're measuring the actual stuff. And we're looking for 78.5 grams. A little bit much there. 78.0. Put a little drop. There we go. Right on the money. Okay, that's going to go into a Ziploc. And there you've got it. And as you can see, even at 78.5, we're still, on batch number 5, we're still off by a gram. And I scrubbed that thing, mildly well. But it's an art. Next, we're going to measure out a half cup of washing soda into each of these bags. And that'll be it for the most of it. After the air has been squished out of 4 of these, I'm going to take them and store them away for later. in this big ceramic thing that we got for Christmas. Voila. I'm probably going to make another 5 here in a minute. But lid goes on it. Those are out of the way for now. Put my moisture barrier down over my remaining washing soda. Screw the lid onto that nice and tight. And then we need to put water into our pan. And if you don't have a pan, or you don't know what the actual measure for a full gallon, this is a full gallon of water, my advice is to fill up one of these bad boys and then pour it into the pan so you get your actual amount. Luckily on this one, it goes right to the middle of the dots there. And then I'm going to set it on boil. But I'm going to actually fill it up first. I'm going to make a quick comment here. To avoid it flowing over or bubbling over, your best bet is to set it to boil first. So we're turning it on, let it come to a rolling boil, and then before putting the soap in, change your temperature down to either 6 or 4, somewhere in medium heat, and then it keeps it just at a simmer, and you don't have to worry about extra bubbles forming. Now that our water is boiling, I'm going to turn the temperature down to simmer. I'm going to try 4. No, I'm going to keep it at 6. I've been using 6 for a while and it hasn't boiled over, so we'll set it to 6. We're going to take our Ziploc and its contents, and then we're going to add it to our boiling water. Just pour it all in there. And then we'll do the same with this one. Get all the powder out. Okay, and then we're going to let this boil or simmer, not boil, we're going to let it simmer for 5 minutes. And we'll come back and stir it, and we'll do this 3 times. And it's at a very, very light boil now. I'm whisking the sides of the pan to get all of the soap off the edges, and then I'll kind of whisk in the middle to break up the middle bits. And then kind of rinse off the whisk before you take it out. And we're going to set the timer for another 5 minutes. And what we're going to do is, in total, we're going to be simmering it. We're going to be simmering it for 15 minutes while the soap dissolves, the washing soda dissolves, everything becomes a solution. Alright, we are now done simmering. Turn off the heat. 1, 2, mix it one last time. Looks good. Nice and clear across the top. Don't see any chunks. Don't see any shavings. There's a shaving. Maybe I should let it sit for another 5 minutes. Blend. We'll do another 5 minutes. Day 2. So we've got our now solidified gel and our potato masher, and we mash this up just enough so that we can pour it into the blender. Get rid of all the big chunks. And I'm going to say that's pretty good. A little bit of a fluidity about it now. Okay. Here's our blender. And ideally this would be a Ninja blender, because even though this has a, I don't know, it's like 1 to 10, a slow mode, this is still too fast. The Ninja blender actually has a, I don't remember what it's called, but it's a slow mode and it works really well. So, put this off to the side for now. And gotta pour that into the blender. I will make mention that if you don't mash it up enough, then it'll splash everywhere as you pour it into the blender. Put the lid on, and ideally 1 gallon will make roughly 15 cups, and so you can fill this up 3 times and then pour it into your 1 gallon. Got your 1 gallon, just pour it in there. Yeah. We're going to blend this for 1 minute increments, and you don't want to go any more than 1 minute because it will add air, too much air to this the solution, the soap, and it'll go from, oh, we're only about half a pan full, to all of a sudden it's overflowing because it's got so much air in it. Alright, hit my timer. Nope, we're going to start blending first. Using a funnel, we are going to pour this into here, and I had to ladle off a little bit of the top because the froth had brought it all the way to the top of the mixer blender. Not my most favorite mixer, to tell you the truth. And one way to make the contents funnel a little bit faster is to break the vacuum lock. If you give it just a little bit of a crack at the bottom, contents go down faster. Thought about using like a toothpick or a fork or something, but works better with 2 hands in any case. Alright, so we're going to repeat this for the rest of the content. One trick I've found to help reduce splashing is to put some kind of a utensil in the blender before you pour the whatever you're pouring into it in. And because this blender froths a little bit, I'm not going to fill it up this time. Here's a little side note. If you fill your blender up to 4, if you have an Oster blender, after 1 minute of blending, that's what you get. So basically 2 cups of expansion. To use this soap, we traditionally use 1 scoop of OxyClean. And put that in the OxyClean container. And then we'll use 1/2 cup of the soap. We'll pour that into our soap container. 1/2 cup. A little bit more than 1/2 cup, but oh well. And I really like using the Ninja blender because it's a slow setting and it actually gets everything churned up and it comes out a nice consistency. But that's it. Close that up and start the washer.